Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Publishing Disrupted, where we explore the ways in which book publishing is changing and how writers can best meet the challenge. I'm editor Mick Silva.
And I'm David Morris, and literary agent and publisher. I forgot who I am, which is actually books. Feels really good to forget who I am sometimes.
This is necessary in life, yes. We're two former Christian publishing industry experts learning to navigate the massive independent book market. And former experts. I still like that. I think that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
I don't know what the heck I'm doing anymore. Yeah. So, it's kind of fun to remember that.
When I first exited big publishing, I thought I could be a consultant and people would just like beat down doors to
Well, and
talk
you
to
did.
me.
I mean, you consulted me. There were a lot of people that you were still.
I consulted you, but
unofficially.
I didn't consult for you. I didn't help you.
Right. Yeah.
But they didn't beat down the doors, and I was just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right. What's wrong?
What's
wrong with what I thought I was as an expert?
Oh, totally. Yeah. I was so myopic with I know so much about books and publishing, and I mean, in one very small pond, we did.
Right.
But it's a very big world out there.
Yeah.
So a lot of recent changes have shown us, that we don't know as much as we thought, and the disruption continues.
Mm-hmm.
So, it is nice to forget who you are, and I mean that's one of the benefits of reading.
Mm-hmm.
I love, just
escaping
into a book.
Yeah, that's perfect.
What have you been reading recently?
I've been reading a number of things. I'm definitely in a moment where I've got a bunch of books going on.
Yeah.
I'll say.
Is that generally true? I would imagine.
I usually am like a 1 to 2 book person, but
okay.
now I'm like a 4 or 5 going on at the same time. Yeah. I think I've just gotten a little better with libraries lately.
Yeah.
Just checking out what's going on there.
Yep.
Discovering some things. It's just been a little bit easier. I guess my schedule's been a little more forgiving, and I've been able to do more reading, which is great. But the one thing I've been reading, I only just started really, is a book that was recommended to me by another author who I ended up not working with, unfortunately. But it was great to meet this person, and we'll probably stay connected.
Yeah.
But he recommended Jason DeLeon's Soldiers and Kings, Survival and Hope in the World of Human Smuggling. This is a book that actually won a National Book Award, which is, to me, that's like the Academy Awards of book publishing.
Yes.
I actually had the fortune to be at one of their ceremonies once, way back in the 90s or early 2000s, when Cold Mountain won.
Oh, right.
I saw the author accept his award for Cold Mountain. It was one of those things where I was a junior level employee, and a boss had access and bought a table for the event, and I got to sit at the table. It was quite something. And to see, I really do think I have a lot of respect for National Book Awards, as we all do. It was also in New York Times, 100 Notable Books of 2024.
Wow.
Again, it's called Soldiers and Kings by Jason DeLeon. He's an anthropologist, and he does an ethnography. He goes and hangs out with people who are smuggling individuals from Central America through Mexico into the United States.
Wow.
So this is what's really, I mean, you hear all there's all the media about immigration, but
right.
Does anyone have the first clue about why people are coming, who they are, what their experience is?
Right.
And this guy's got the goods right here in this book. It will completely humanize. In fact, it's funny. It's one of the things he talks about is, excuse me, that he knows people are going to accuse him of trying to humanize these people. So, well, first of all, what's wrong with that?
Right.
But he says, no, they're humans.
Yeah.
I'm going to show them as humans.
Right.
It's first off, I love a good ethnography. I love it when a social scientist goes into the field and just hangs out with people and takes pictures and takes notes. And he actually, records and prints in the book actual conversations with human smugglers, and he stays away from this really, really scary parts. But he does put himself at no small risk,
sure,
and his own family under some kinds of stress. because these are long-term studies.
Yeah.
These are not easy.
Right.
So it's very meaty.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
I'll stop there.
Is it long? I would imagine it's got to be pretty big.
Yeah, it doesn't look too bad though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It goes pretty cool. It's well written.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I love those types of books too. Nicholas Kristof, Tightrope. I always go back to that one. It's kind of like a investigative journalist approach, right? And there's something to that. That's like it's the authority that they're speaking with, because they've been embedded in that for so long, and they've been studying it and researching it, and it's hard to refute. When you see what all they've pulled together.
Yep.
And then especially if it's written well, with stories and actual eyewitness accounts and things.
Yeah.
That's great. Very cool. Any fiction?
No.
Yeah? Not right now?
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I
it's
probably
hard.
should be.
Yeah.
I still am reading very, very slowly The Ghost Ships of the Great Lakes, which is kind
right.
of like fiction.
Yeah. Michigan writers.
Yeah, how about you?
So, of course, fiction. Actually dipped back into Virgil Wander. I brought it because it's just so good. I mean, you can kind of pick it up anywhere, and his writing is so pastoral that it calms me right down.
Say it again. It's Virgil.
It's called Virgil Wander, Leif Enger,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean he's a New York Times bestseller
Yeah.
author, but Peace Like a River is the one that most people know.
Right, I read that.
But I mean it's a very like I said, pastoral, but you're very much embedded in that character's point of view,
Mm-hmm.
and you start to think and feel like he does.
When you say pastoral, what do you mean?
Yeah, that's good. Let's unpack that. What is it? A pastoral novel to me is like it's not plot driven. It's more character driven.
Mm-hmm.
It's much more atmospheric. Your excitement is coming from the descriptions of things and of the land and the culture and the family and the connections between people, rather than the car chases and the explosions and what happened when they went back in time and found their lost love or whatever.
Yeah.
That's a speculative, and I love those books. Obviously, I've talked a lot about those. But
Yeah.
pastoral is much more like regular life
Yeah.
to me. He talks about riding horses a lot. He talks about working on his house. It can sound boring,
Right.
but it's far from it.
So interesting. Because that word is often it's associated to me more with like farm, country.
Sure. Yep.
And it sounds like
Wendell Berry is one of those authors.
Sounds like that's there a little bit, but you described it more in terms of literary qualities and features.
Right.
Or pastoral in our own religious publishing background means pastor. Helping their congregants.
Yes. Pastoral.
Yeah.
I suppose,
Pastoral,
different from ministry.
Yeah.
Or ministration.
Ministry, pastoral theology,
I think of
pastoral psychology. Those are phrases in my background.
Yeah. I think of sheeps in a field when I think of a pastoral novel.
But again, you are using that word in a way that connects to a literary sensibility, a literary technique.
Yeah.
And voice.
Characteristics that make you kind of slow down, pay attention, relax, listen to the stream rather than try and splash through it real fast, Oh
man, keep talking like that.
Like things that like remind you why you live. There's a lot in our lives that we have to do because and that's the what. And even often when we introduce ourselves, we're talking about the who, right? And I think if we could just get back to some of these novels that are more about the why, and it's not that there's an answer. It's more that when you talk about what's your purpose in life, it's really just following your curiosity and wherever that takes you, and then exploring it for a while.
Amen.
I love those kinds of books.
Seriously, I'm so exhausted by the books that are telling you how to live your life right now. There's so many of them.
So many.
And some of them are doing really, really
They have their
well.
place. Yeah.
Self-help. It does. Yeah. But it just,
I learned from them.
Being in the publishing business and being attuned to it, you get worn out.
Yeah.
By, here's another person saying something somebody said 20 years ago, but in a new way.
In a new way. Yeah. Or in a poetic way, or in a way that you hadn't heard it said before. Yeah.
But it still gets to some bigger themes in American psychological maturity, spiritual maturity
Mhm.
with like performance and
Sure.
accomplishment
Right.
and domination.
Yeah.
And you still see those themes hiding in there.
Oh, for sure.
And
Yeah.
it's so losing yourself in a pastoral, a novel that is
Yeah.
pastoral. Ooh.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, I'm signed up for that one. I'm gonna go read that next.
There's a long tradition of this. Jaber Crow is a book I hear about a lot from Wendell Berry. That's very pastoral
I've
in
never
nature.
even heard somebody say that title out loud. I'm glad you did, because
Yeah?
I would not have known how to pronounce it.
I mean,
Crow.
yeah,
That's a classic.
You're absolutely. And
Yeah.
he's talking about, kind of deep South personalities.
Shows you what I know, and I don't know how to pronounce that title.
Well, if you never hear something said out loud.
Yeah, I don't hang out with the right people. Yeah.
Well, and then the other one, the nonfiction I wanted to mention because I brought it, 1,000 Tiny Paper Cuts, which that's a Lake Drive book. Catherine Spearing, and she's doing an excellent job in my estimation. I'm about halfway through The Subtle Insidious Nature of Spiritual Abuse and Life on the Other Side. I think you mentioned that in our last podcast, but I've been reading it since the Wild Goose, when we had the one copy on the table that we couldn't sell.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because it wasn't out yet.
Yeah, we couldn't sell it because
Yeah.
people actually wanted it.
People did. Yeah.
But
A few people wanted to buy it.
it was the only copy,
Yeah.
and we
So
couldn't
we
let
couldn't
go
let
of
go
it
of
yet.
it. But now it is out. And she's doing a great job. I was saying, she doesn't feel beholden to kind of go sequential or linear. She kind of just shares a lot of different bits and pieces that are relevant to the topic that she's kind of covering at the time. And it's just a well-written read. In my view, like, there's so many of these books now, it feels like. Broadleaf, and I'm thinking of
Publishing.
Convergent has a few, even like bigger houses that are kind of getting into the ex-evangelical space. Very few in what I've read so far are really taking on, I guess, the topic, the concept of spiritual abuse, and really digging into that and what it is,
The
and then
experience of
showing
it.
you. Yeah,
They're
exactly.
showing you, not telling you.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Feeling like you're almost experiencing it with her, and not in a memoir sense. I mean, there's memoir, right?
Yeah.
There's true memoir,
It's a lot
which
of-
is a story,
It's a lot of personal story.
and that's immersive and experiential. But this is much more descriptive, I
Mm-hmm.
think, and in terms of
Illustrative.
serving exactly, like just defining what it is and why it's so difficult. I was saying to you, like to even describe what spiritual abuse is to people is a difficult thing, because they don't assume that, like, oh, I've never heard that term before,
Right.
And that can't be trauma,
Right.
can it? Well, sure, yeah, of course it can be.
Yeah.
Um, Anything can be a traumatic experience, but especially when it's spiritual, when it's saying God is the one that's sort of punishing you,
Right.
and you deserve it.
Connecting power inequality to justifying power inequality
Yes,
through religious means is one way
it's
of
all
saying.
about that power difference. And so few people, it seems, in the religious context want to admit that or want to accept that, because, oh, how dare us? Who do we think we are to go up against God? And even church, even the traditions that we have been established for so long, it can feel wrong to even mention.
It's a big commentary on what is perfectly acceptable behavior. I love what she says. I don't know if she says it clearly in this book, but she says there's all this behavior and that goes on, and people accept it because that's what's Christian.
So normalized.
Yeah. That's Christian. You know?
Exactly.
She puts it as very. I mean, you could argue what Christianity really is, but
right. But to a lot of people, it is. It's a very push it into people's face and make sure they get saved. And it's not about what they want. It's about what God wants. And
like the religious tract that I saw being passed around at Halloween. One of the kids dropped on the street right in front of my house.
Yeah, no, that's going to happen around here. Grand Rapids is.
You don't. Yeah. It was about the treat of God's saving grace, rather than the candy that could. Yeah.
I love the different approaches, you know.
Sneaky,
so
manipulative
sneaky.
approaches.
Like, why do we have to do that?
Yeah, with mazes
So
and
gross.
word finds on the front and sinner's message on the back.
It's supposed to attract them, and then
You're a sinner, you little 7-year-old.
It's like
kid.
they spring the trap,
You
and now
are
you're
a
saved.
Sinner. Sorry.
Sorry.
Baggage
We're
coming
going
in.
off. Obviously, we have some spiritual trauma
it's
to unpack.
exploitative. I mean, that's just
No,
it.
it
That's a
is.
form of spiritual abuse right there. I mean, it's
Right.
developmentally inappropriate to be trying to tell little children
Yeah.
that they're sinners.
Make
They
kids
can't
feel
grasp
guilty.
what that means. Yeah.
Right.
It's an adult ideology.
At
being
some point, we
imposed.
should really get into
It's
some of
actually
this.
not even an adult ideology, but it's more like an adolescent one. But
Yes, like some of the stuff that we experienced.
yeah, yeah.
But anyway, check
Anyway.
out that book if you're relating to that
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
Don't be scared.
Yeah,
It's
Don't be
actually
scared.
it's very comforting.
triggering maybe.
Yeah, but not to feel like you're not alone. I think that's the main thing
Absolutely.
that it's doing for me.
Yeah.
It's feeling like she's got a lot of permission, like internalized shame, yes,
Yeah.
that she's working out of. But
Yeah.
to combat that, you have to like take
Yeah.
in just heaping gobs of permission to allow yourself to be truthful and vulnerable. And I mean, honestly, to even take on some of the slings and arrows, you
Mhm.
know,
Mhm.
of religious culture that's going to come up against you when you come out speaking like
Yep.
this.
She's probably experiencing some of that right
Oh,
now,
for sure.
right now.
For
It takes
sure.
a
We
lot of
should have her
courage to
on.
do
We could
this.
talk about some
Yeah.
of it, work
Yeah.
out some of our own stuff probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, I want to talk about like, so Catherine came to you or did you find her? Because Lake Drive
She
is
came
publishing
to,
this.
she was recommended to me
Okay.
by someone we both know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
It was
great.
just- it was just a great recommendation, great connection.
And so you guys kind of did your dance and then figured out, oh, this could work for Lake Drive. Let's do
see if we
that.
could work together. Yeah.
So I
Grateful for
kind of
that.
wanted to ask, like, walk me through that, because I'm in the industry and I'm an editor and I live near you and we talk a lot, but I still I'm a little bit like, how does that work? How do you figure out? Because I mean, you're an agent as well. How do you figure out this is for Lake Drive or not?
Yeah. Well, I think actually a lot of it could be for Lake Drive because of the model that it provides.
Just kind of depends on whether the author wants
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I mean, if it's an author with a giant following,
Yeah.
it's probably more of an agenting thing
Okay.
for me.
Right.
If it's a smaller following, we're ready to bootstrap things, get scrappy,
Mm-hmm.
make some waves. That's probably more Lake Drive books.
Okay.
It does require financing.
Yeah.
We can get pretty agile about that and creative about it, but there are some real costs
Right.
involved.
I've
That
seen Kickstarters and stuff that
Mhm.
people have done,
Mhm.
and that's
Yep.
cool.
Yep. Yep. Don't have the money that a publisher that has been around for a long time has
Yeah.
from their backlist. That's basically how book publishing works financially.
Right.
Publishers out there speculating every year, paying advances on new books with money that they earned from books that have been in publication for years, if not decades.
Right.
And most of those books don't work very well.
The new ones.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. Anyway, we can get into that.
Yeah.
But yeah. But yeah. So that's
So,
how that's
so
how
you
I-
kind of pitch your model, basically. I mean, is
Mhm.
that something you could do here? Like,
Mhm.
say what it is that compared to maybe traditional publishing or even like a
yeah.
common hybrid press.
Yeah. 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 I'm an introvert, so pitching a model is not something I
No,
do.
I know. I shouldn't have. I shouldn't have.
Oh no, I'm
like,
totally ready. And I
phrased it
do it
that
all
way.
the time. I'm just trying to say, yeah, I've been working on it. You know,
Yeah.
I'm pretty good at it, but it still needs work. It's still really hard to overcome the perceptions,
Oh, for sure.
the assumptions.
Yep.
That
People hear hybrid publisher
They
and they
go
get
in.
nervous. I know. Yeah.
yeah. And there really are a lot of perceptions and assumptions in a business that's changed so much. This is why we do this podcast, because it's been
Right.
disrupted.
Yeah.
And we don't, it's hard for authors to see what I've seen on the inside of being an executive at a major publishing house. What's going on with the money, who's getting paid,
Right.
you know, what's really happening, you know, with the author's content.
Mm-hmm.
Are they being paid fairly? That kind of stuff. I've looked at that from both sides very carefully. That's my background. I've got 30 years of publishing experience. I'd say that, you know, I'll give you more the longer version than what I would give to an author. And I think that
Great.
really starts with understanding that publishing today, I mean, I want to say this in a nuanced way, but there's a lot about it that's not working
Yeah.
very well, and it's not working in the favor of authors.
Right.
And sometimes even authors are perpetuating that not working part unwittingly by playing along because they don't know what else there is. And,
Sure.
And that's what I'm trying to provide it with Lake Drive Books. And other publishers using a hybrid financial model.
Yeah.
Hopefully a hybrid publishing, hopefully a more traditional publishing model, but hybrid financial model.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, what's broken about publishing right now is just that it is basically it's in the midst of a corporate takeover.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically what's going on. You've got 5 big publishers. There was almost going to be just 4.
That's right.
But the Department of Justice stepped in and did not allow Simon & Schuster to be acquired by Random House, which is bigger than all the other publishers almost combined.
Already. Yep.
Talk about mega corporation.
Right. Which is owned by a German conglomerate, by the way.
Right.
I used to work for PRH.
That's exactly right. Bertelsmann.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just constantly kind of folding in on itself, creating economies of scale, enriching investors.
Yeah.
Which probably all of us have 401k funds that are investing in some of these media companies.
Sure.
And paying CEOs what CEOs get paid in our world.
That's right.
Which for me was always a lot of dissonance because
yeah, I remember you talking about
when
that.
I would see how much people reporting to me got paid who are really doing the hard work of publishing, and then what the CEOs who sometimes really did not, or the executives who knew some things, but they didn't have, they were very disconnected, especially in evangelical publishing, I might
Yeah, yeah.
very disconnected to the content and the audience.
Uh-huh.
They could say all the right things, but on an innate level, do they know, or is it an audience that's playing into bigger forces that they shouldn't be playing into?
Right.
Speaking of evangelicalism. So I mean, I think that's part of it. I mean, real life examples would be just this week in Publishers Weekly. We heard that Sounds True, a body, mind, spirit publisher that publishes major authors like Deepak Chopra, more of like a, self-help, using the older term, new age type publisher, got bought by Macmillan, one of the big 5.
Yeah, yeah.
Simultaneous to that, Mango, a mid or small, more independent publisher, meaning, mid-sized publishers are $100 million annual revenue company.
Wow.
I don't know that Mango was that big, but it was big enough. It's shutting down.
Yeah, just closing.
Yep.
Huh.
There have been on the distribution side in book publishing, Baker and Taylor. We just got the news a few weeks ago.
Right.
Made the biggest distributor to libraries shutting down.
Right.
There were some smaller publishing groups, meaning distribution groups, that is, who have both the means to like a sales team that you can hire, and maybe even fulfillment facilities and logistics, where you can hire them to get books into bookstores for you.
Right.
But some of those have shut down. Maybe the biggest one is Independent Publishers Group, IPG, which I believe has had a lot of layoffs lately.
Still.
I mean, the publishing, and there's a lot of reasons for this. I don't want to say it's just any one thing, but without question, you have to say it's hard for these independent companies to survive.
Right.
So why is that? We have to ask ourselves. I mean, that's a question. I'm not going to answer it right now. I'm not going to have the final answer, but that's a question we have to keep asking ourselves. What's wrong with the publishing model that these independent-minded companies with their own cultures, their own localities, why can't they survive?
Yeah.
And you can look back a couple of years in PW. There's a big article about how there's not very many mid-sized publishers left. Yeah. So just looking at some very real life things, it's like, okay, there's a lot of money involved, and it does have a way of making everything more generic, less flavorful, less textured.
The conglomeration and
without a
homogenization.
Without a doubt. So I think I'm trying to solve that problem.
Yeah.
How can you run the business in a way that you're not having to deal with, or you're not having to pay for some CEO's big paycheck?
Right.
And I think once you stop doing that, it starts to open up possibilities.
Yeah.
once you start restructuring how the business works, how the overhead is on your business,
You only need so much.
you start finding you have options.
Yeah.
You don't have to be locked into this thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the things to talk more specifically about it too is advances.
Mm-hmm.
I do agenting, and I see authors quantifying their value as an author based on the size of the advance that they get.
Sure.
And it always feels upside down to me. I get it. I don't know how an author can even think about it in any other way.
It's
So
pretty natural.
I kind of get that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it feels as a business person upside down to me. What a lot of publishers do is they overpay on advances to compete with other publishers and to get some of the marquee authors.
Yeah.
But even on a mid-level or on a smaller level, they're still speculating quite a bit.
Right.
And they're not creating a model that's manageable. You know, when we were at Zondervan, we went 2 years without a breakout title, and we still almost made our budget, which meant we were managing things well and we were executing well.
Yeah.
It is possible to run a publishing business without breakout titles, without home run titles.
Yeah.
But that's the given wisdom about publishing, is that they live on the backlist, breakout titles from the backlist.
Yeah. Yep. Sub-rights, things like this, restructuring the backlist. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. We would put out, so an existing book we might repackage or recover.
Try to keep it alive.
Yeah. But just come up with a new format that becomes giftable or packs in
I did that very thing myself.
The study guide in the back, and then that becomes like a good paperback
new cover
seller. Yeah. So those types of things can often be the difference between being profitable that year or not.
Yeah, that can help a lot too. But it's just evidence too of how powerful a backlist is. And honestly, it's even more powerful than ever, because on Amazon you have online retail, you have multiple choices, and you can keep books in print a lot longer. Yeah. And it's not like a bookstore where you have limited shelf space and you got to always be showing the front list.
So let me say something that I remember being kind of an eye opener for me. When I was an acquisitions editor and I realized it was more of a sales role, I was definitely managing rights. And this was a process that began, way back, even before I started it, like 2000, somewhere there. But it became about rights management, because all of the different types of rights that ultimately an agent is selling to the house, they'll say world rights on these types of formats in these territories, or then that would be less than world, but usually it's North America. And then sub-rights is a separate right, and then audio and ebook is separate rights, and then even like dramatic rights, like film or stage play, and then they would have on the larger contracts, they would even have products, ancillary products, merchandise of some type. That can be a bargaining chip as well. So rights management, you would have to go into the system at the publishing house and figure out what rights do we own for this product. And most authors are just thinking, well, it's just a book. Well, yes, and all of that other stuff that's on there called sub-rights, subsidiary, is either owned by the house or not owned, and so
can be exploited.
In the good sense, be resold
of the word.
in a different way to a different publisher who wants to publish it in France or whatever you got. So you have to start thinking in this way of like the intellectual property of the book is also rights that have to be managed or either sold or continue to be owned by you. In the hybrid model, my understanding is generally you're allowing the author to still own their rights.
Yeah, this is a little bit different. This is a little bit, to me, it's not the most key issue.
Sure.
For most authors, especially entry-level authors.
Yeah.
But definitely, no, I don't do that. Actually, I act like a normal, at Lake Drive, we act like a regular conventional publisher, which is sort of kind of what you want. Right. You want a publisher who can exploit, in the very good sense of the word, all the rights of the book.
Help you sell.
Yeah, authors don't
more
know
rights.
The first thing about taking a book to Frankfurt, not that most of my authors' books would get to Frankfurt to shop international rights. Yeah. But we do have that capability. It's a grant of rights. The author still owns the copyright, but it's a grant of distribution rights all world publishing rights to
Yep.
the publisher. So, if I have I had an author the other day who had someone in Korea very interested in creating a Korean translation.
Mm-hmm.
I know how to navigate that for them.
Yeah.
And also to some extent, when a publisher invests a lot of work and money in a book, as has the author, part of that means that, they're financing their business by making some of these other things happen.
Exactly. That's why it matters.
Yeah.
So your Lake Drive mostly is buying rights or assuming rights for traditional print
Yes.
books,
Print.
on demand print. Yes,
Yep,
mostly.
Mm-hmm.
And then so that'd be like paperback generally.
Yeah, you can do hardcover, but
or
it
hardcover.
doesn't work as well usually for a couple of reasons.
Well, yeah, the margins are crazy.
Yeah.
But then the ebook
Prices are
and
crazy too for the
audio.
consumer. Yeah, ebook and audio. Yep.
Yeah,
really
so-
good. We're really good with audio. We
Yeah.
do a better job of making sure an audiobook happens for an author more consistently across our titles than you might see from a conventional publisher, where
That's great.
where many of them still seek an audio publisher to do
Right.
it, which means there's
Separate.
more parties involved in terms of the revenue.
Yes, exactly. And they make less
Mm-hmm.
per sale.
Just
Just
less
like
control, and even
less
less control.
control.
That way.
There
Right.
you go.
Less input.
So if you want more control and you want more I guess rights and fulfillment, basically, like on the subsidiary stuff, like then that's making sense to me. Up front, I mean, what? So you've got the problem of big publishing. Up front, though, like with the Lake Drive, how you're solving that basically by offering authors this alternative.
Yeah.
Like the highlights that you mentioned to them, I mean, they probably go down the list, right?
Yep.
From upfront to release to...
Yep. Yeah, what we're
publicity.
asking authors to do is sort of partner, in the whole process, financial, editorial, although, have much more high touch, much more communication, much more explaining. It wears me out sometimes, but I think that's what publishers should be doing.
It's true.
They certainly, I might not have the resources, but publishers certainly have the resources to hire people to do those things. They could hire 20 people based on one executive's paycheck,
right,
to do some of these things.
Yeah. Well,
but head count, I don't know.
A lot of times
in a company,
I know we'd get calls from authors, and there'd just be like questions.
Yeah,
and
they don't
nobody
understand.
answers.
Yeah, and you spend half your time explaining things.
Yeah.
So a lot more education goes on at Lake Drive Books with our authors. I think it's still very mysterious. I think authors still feel very much in the dark, even in that model.
Well, it's a moving target. It's really difficult to define.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I think that's part of the pitch. I've definitely, we focus right up front, like financially speaking, on I want to make sure authors are getting a much higher royalty rate. Book publishers rely on an author's platform and the author's ability to promote their book now more than they ever did, but they don't admit it, and they still pay the same royalties that they have all along.
Exactly.
That's why I get to this issue with like authors see too much value in the advance part of it, and if they really want to seek justice, they want to really tip the scales toward what an author deserves. They should be demanding higher royalty without question.
Which is basically off the list price of the book, say $18.95.
Yeah.
How much money they're making per sale.
Right. New York houses are still 10%, 12.5%, and 15% on the hardcover at breaks of 5,000.
Right.
And
that's on the retail price. That's on the
And paperbacks are 7.5%. Which is
robbery.
It is. Thank you. Yeah.
You have to sell so many books.
Right. Whereas there are a lot of other publishers that go on more of a net revenue model.
Yeah.
Which arguably is a little bit more fair.
That was what we were. Yeah.
In religious most of the evangelical publishing is that model.
So
I don't
the
know
net,
if it's out of any intent to be fair.
Which is their take after the retail discount.
Yeah.
It's their take after what you're discounting it, so the retailers will carry the books.
Yeah. So
which is like 40% or something.
Right. And if they, so getting that bigger royalty is really what matters. And I think that there, even in a conventional publishing house, I would argue that's really where the focus should be, not on the advance, a deal from a conventional
Absolutely.
house. Because, honestly, if when I did a book deal, like a major 6-figure book deal,
Right.
sometimes even 7-figure book deals, with some of those authors, we would be way upside down financially,
for sure.
and
Yeah.
that meant people
For a
like
good
you
year,
people like
if
you
not
and
longer.
me didn't get a bonus that year,
Right.
because our profit wasn't where it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
And why, okay, well, that's the publisher's fault. Well, no, there's real people behind the publishing house.
For sure.
Some of whom aren't making those big CEO paychecks.
And they didn't decide to do it that way.
Right. And it just seems and it would always kind of annoy me, because in Christian publishing, where we're supposed to treat each other as we would want to be treated, why would you ask a publisher to put so much risk? Why would you ask the publisher to pay you in advance that is more than your book warrants within a year without and why would you ask them to make unreasonable or highly risky decisions about acquiring you in that way?
Yep.
And why not instead work with that publisher, get inside their head, help them get inside your head, partner with them, get down in the trenches, and manage this book launch well, instead of in an adversarial way with a scarcity mindset. That's
well said.
Yeah.
I'd love to know the answer to that.
I might be an introvert, but I work on these things.
I'd like to know the answer to that. I mean, my quick answer would be because of the perception of the author and the agent and everyone in the industry who says, wow, that publisher really wants that book.
Yeah.
That's what an advance shows.
Yeah.
But that's the old world mindset.
Right. And the royalty,
clout stuff.
The royalty could show that, but I don't know.
The royalty could show that.
I don't know very many. I don't know very many agents or authors who say, "Well, that's a really high royalty rate. That publisher really wants me."
Yeah, exactly. But that's exactly how it should be.
But not like they do with the advance.
Yeah.
So that's really where it matters. I mean, you should only be paid what your book earns. You shouldn't be paid something that's above that, and that's no one's going to convince me otherwise.
Yeah, but the corollary with that is that it only requires you to sell so many books if you're making more per sale.
Yeah, and
you don't have to sell as many.
And that's just it with the Lake Drive model with a higher royalty rate. The more books you sell, the more money you're gonna end up making.
And the chart that you showed me, basically, the authors are making about around 50%.
Yeah,
given all the different parameters.
Yeah,
50% more than 50% they would
more, right?
From a traditional house,
right? Yeah, so I kind of scale it down for like real world, and if an author is going to sell, let's say 2,000 books,
which would be pretty good,
you'll go Google it. The world will tell you that that's about average for a book.
Yeah,
it can be a lot, and that's 2,000 in 5 years. I think maybe
5 years.
Yeah, that's the model I build my charts on. I also
lock that in your minds, listeners.
Yeah. Well, I also have a model that's like 4,000, 6,000 and higher.
Books can do that, of course.
Yeah,
we all know that.
Even at this level, even at grassroots publishing level, they can get higher. But if you were to say with some of the small publishers that we work with in the business that we're embedded in, they're offering advances of $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. Some are higher, but I would say that about 5,000 is where a lot of book deals are averaging out right now.
Yeah.
When they can see, maybe $2,000 or $2,500, 2,500 units over
sales. Yeah.
Over maybe a year in their case.
Yeah. To earn that back.
So they're getting about that kind of an advance, but they're also paying royalties that are pretty low, royalties. Yeah. I won't mention them, but some are in the single digits on net. I won't say who or what those single digits are, but I find that I just feel like, okay, that's just not acknowledging the way our marketplace is today with the digital marketplace and how much you really rely on the author to drive those sales.
That's right. And if they're doing the work, they should get paid for it.
Yeah. So the deal is you can get a $5,000 advance and you get all that money up front. Great. Hey, supposedly it pays for your, the time that you have to take off to write a book. Well, actually it doesn't. How much does $5,000 stretch when it's split up amongst,
in one way, it's a lot of money
and
for the publisher
and then there's taxes and maybe there's an agent fee involved.
Right.
It's not that much money,
but it's not for the author.
Nobody can pay very many mortgage payments on that.
Yep.
So you can get a $5,000 advance, get their royalty rates, and after 5 years, you haven't even broken even yet.
Exactly.
If you've only sold 2,000 units,
Right.
you haven't paid back the publisher the advance that they gave
Given
you.
the numbers that are
the money they
typical.
loaned you up front, you have not paid it back.
Right.
Um,
So that means you have made no royalties.
well, you have,
made-
but you just haven't gotten to 5,000 yet.
But you will be given no money.
Right. You will get no
That's what that
royalty
means.
checks. Right. No royalty checks.
Right.
Right. And that's true for a lot of books.
Right.
A lot of books. And some authors are like, well, some agents even have told me we're not interested in that. You know,
That's right.
some agents have told me that's what we care about the most, but then their behavior says something
In fact, they still need to make money. Yeah.
else. But with the Lake Drive hybrid model, if you spend $5,000 to help produce the book up front, you'll actually have more money than you would after 5 years.
How does that work? That's amazing.
Because of that higher royalty rate.
That's where it comes in.
Yeah.
So given, let's say, generally, and I'm just going off rough numbers from what you showed me on your chart, but say, given a traditional or even regular hybrid press is giving you, let's say $1.50 something per sale on an 1895, and we're talking print, right? Book, you're basically at royalties of around $3.50, was it?
It depends.
$3.60 depends on
it depends on
the
how
structure
much you've
there.
invested up front.
But the percentage of the
Yeah.
royalties you're giving an author is
Right.
way higher than anything
Right.
they could get from a traditional house.
If it's if it's agreed upon to be a smaller investment up front, which is, we can only do so much of that. You get a smaller royalty.
Yeah.
And so, but it's still that's still close to 50% better than what
Yeah.
you would get with a conventional deal.
Okay.
If you pay for more of the upfront expenses upfront, you get an even better royalty.
Okay.
And then
Okay.
you get into that number of, $3.50,
And it can escalate.
$3 per
Exactly.
book. Yeah.
Yeah. It goes
It
quicker.
can. Yeah. And what's really amazing, so that's the hybrid model, is to pay money up front, get a better royalty rate, and you make out better, hopefully.
Mhm.
But if you can find financing where you're not actually paying for that money up front,
Right.
if you can do a Kickstarter, for example,
Yep.
angel investor or what have you, you start getting royalty checks from the very first royalty period in
Mhm.
which your book existed.
Mhm.
And you usually get a higher, if you can pay for the full editorial costs
Right.
in a hybrid model like this, in the Lake Drive
Which
model.
is roughly 5,000 or so.
It's more actually.
Okay.
Yeah. And it
The
depends.
75.
It depends on how much I have to work to get it done.
Because you want the book to be good.
Yeah. But I mean, if there's a lot of, it's a small operation, so I have
Right.
to put more work in when I can't hire people to do it for me.
Yeah.
If you've invested more like, it's more like 7,500. If you invest that 7,500, you get an even higher royalty rate. And if you haven't had to pay that upfront money because you ran a Kickstarter, you get
Right.
that higher royalty rate from day one.
Right.
Like, we're talking a pretty solid number. And if you can sell 2,500 books or maybe even 5,000 books, I mean, it's not enough money to go buy a brand new car, because that's how publishing is.
No, but that's your first book.
But it is a much better financial
Yeah.
deal for most authors who are trying to seek conventional publishing
Right.
deals.
And so ultimately you're making, let's say in that case that you just said, it would be around 15,000
Yeah,
maybe.
that was one
if
of the
you're
charts
going on
had that number in there.
the first
Yeah.
year
Right.
of sales.
Right.
And the sales do trickle off after the first 3 months or so, because people are less excited about it, and you just start doing fewer podcasts and whatever as the author, right?
Right.
The publicity isn't as hot
Right.
as the first 3 months of a book launch, but
Right.
it continues to sell because it's a good book, because it had some good
Yeah.
editing and some production, and it looks good. It's still out there.
And mostly because the author is still out there.
Yeah. Still
that's
taking
what
interviews.
That's what I'm talking about, the managing aspect of publishing. One of the things we do is when an author signs a contract, they get 2 online platforming coaching sessions with me.
That's great.
And that starts a whole conversation for that. That becomes part of the relationship going onward after that.
Yeah.
And a lot of publishing today, because we live in a digital marketplace,
Yep.
very segmented marketplace, they actualize a lot of sales at the launch phase because of their built-in audience.
Sure.
But then, publicity only counts so much these days. It doesn't count as much as it used to. Ads don't count as much as they used to, although if you can do them effectively, there's some interesting things you can do.
Right.
It's really more, how are you continuing to get in
Yes.
front of people,
Right.
and
A long tail.
how are you growing your online platform at the same time? It doesn't have to be, rapid growth. It can just be good, steady, authentic growth.
Mhm.
And that's going to bring new readers to your books, and you're going to see continued sales.
Yes. That's
for,
great.
For a lot of my authors, that's tough.
Sure.
It's tough to scale all this.
Yeah.
But some authors are seeing it work for them.
Mhm.
And there's, every book is different.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you got to be careful about what things you say or matter the most about this book or that book, because every book is a little bit different.
Right. To a different audience.
Yeah.
It might sound different. Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
or just the marketing mechanism, the engine, the thing that drives awareness for that book is different from
Okay. Yeah.
throughout different genres,
Yep.
different audiences.
Right. We talked
So-
about that last time with fiction
Yeah.
versus nonfiction.
Yeah.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
you're doing to sell those books is very different.
But the Lake Drive model it's a lower overhead model. I mean, even if there was a lot of money involved, like if I found some financing, I'm a little suspicious of doing that, to be honest with you, because I don't want to just start doing things the conventional way. I want it to be self-sustaining.
Right.
And there's other issues involved there too, like, fighting against culture by trying to publish marginalized voices doesn't mean it's going to be as easy profit-wise.
Right. Right. Fewer people interested in that overall.
Yeah.
We find that in progressive Christian publishing anyway.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's part of the deal here. We're trying to disrupt things in that way, right?
Yeah.
We're trying to say, kind of like with spiritual abuse, this exists.
Right.
You need to pay attention to it.
Right.
And that's always a hard sell because people want
Yeah.
what they want.
Yeah.
It doesn't taste good. It sounds negative.
Right. And there are other things too, like if you've got the right keyword, if your book really hits a keyword that people are searching on Amazon,
Sure.
like our grief book,
Yeah.
you're going to experience sales just by virtue of the fact that-
And I still think that's amazing. That
and we have
story.
another grief book because it's I'm trying to make that
Exactly.
work, and it's good
a
for the
grief
author.
book,
Yeah.
people, and that's your
Yeah.
one of your top sellers.
But people aren't searching some other terms that are a little bit, I mean, you'd be surprised. Like faith deconstruction is now a category on Amazon, which is amazing. It's interesting.
is.
It's
That is-
fascinating.
that
And
is
it tells
amazing.
you a lot about what's going on. I mean,
Yes.
this is a real movement.
It's about time.
Yeah. But the funny thing is, as I've experienced when I try to test keywords in the Amazon ads platform, just the word deconstruction works better than faith deconstruction.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I can see that.
It all boils down more
Sure.
than you think it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
So
and not a lot of words. There's only so many words that scale, and yet they're the competitive words. Well, you can go for the more minor words, but it drops
they're not
off.
as big.
It drops off very fast.
Yeah. Yeah. It still hasn't been exploited, that territory, enough yet to really be defined and to have its different segments, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, because here's the thing. It goes back all the way to your dissertation that I read when I was at Zondervan because it was so good. It was on grief and losing faith and how that grief process can help you reorient yourself to, basically your lost faith, the fact that you are now grieving something that, it's so hard to do.
Yeah.
But the losing faith experience is not a small audience. That experience that people understand,
Right.
there's a lot of people out there.
A lot of different
and maybe they've come
manifestations of it.
back. Maybe
Yeah.
they've reconstructed. Great.
Yeah.
Some haven't. Some won't ever.
It's a deep psychosocial experience.
I would
And
argue
it's not-
almost everyone.
It's not just about philosophy and theology. It's about
right.
memory.
Yeah. If you're in it at any length of time, it being religion
Yeah.
in America,
Yeah.
you're going to end up with some sort of deconstruction need.
Yeah.
And whether you identify that or not,
Yeah.
right? It's going to be there.
How quickly we got away from like the business stuff. And
No, I know. I want to say, because your
Yeah.
biggest book on grief just dovetails so nicely with what you, I think, as a publisher at Lake Drive Books are trying to do. is to get people to understand that if you would just pay attention a little bit to that quote unquote negative thing that's happening inside you, and you feel a little bit of unrest when you go to church, or, these ideas that you had as a kid have changed a little bit now that you've gotten older and you kind of start investigating stuff. Like, don't be afraid of that. Actually explore it. Yeah. And this is what you've always been doing. And I think there's just a really honest and cohesive, what would you say? Your sign out to people that you're showing people would be like, it's just very trustworthy to me, because you've been doing it for so long.
And I think it is about audience, trying to connect to the audience, which is really tough. I actually was invited to a small group, a church small group, where I spoke, or I just, we just chatted a little while back. I'm trying to keep the details obscure, but it's a group that started meeting about a topic that their church doesn't want to address. Mm-hmm. And the interesting thing to me was the average age in that room was far older than these young deconstructing whippersnappers. Right. And they simply said, there's new information now. And yet we're still embedded in this community. This is where we grew up. All of us grew up. How do we leave it at this age? Right. They weren't saying that out loud, but that's what I saw in their faces.
Yeah. Even if they're not thinking about leaving it, they're thinking like, why can't we integrate this?
They're frustrated that there can't be more change. And they're actually, you can see it on their faces. They're stumped. Yeah. And they don't know what to do. Right. And they're trying to figure it out. These are people who are way along in the developmental life cycle. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and even not just age-wise, but spiritually. Yeah. If you look at Fowler's stages of faith, like they could be in stage 4 or 5, pretty far along, like almost to the mystical stage, and still have this deconstruction that is, it's basically arrested development of your spiritual life. Yeah. And this is what a lot of people are experiencing. Like, why do I feel this way?
And that's, so the Lake Drive model is really, it's about editorial innovation too, trying to find the content to resource these people and ask these questions. The challenge is how to find them. And I think it is there. I do think that as much as we all are cynical about social media, it can really reach even people of different, of older ages. Yeah. More on Facebook probably. But it's still challenging. We're still not connecting face to face enough on these issues. I whether it's a COVID hangover or just the fact that the way we're all kind of huddled, in our digital marketplace now in our homes, working from home and so on. I have like stranger anxiety now when I go out in public. So, but how do we?
It's like you forget how to talk,
connect, and talk to each other? Yeah, right. Yeah, we forget how to talk. Yeah, and I think that's really important in publishing, is to learn how to talk.
That's true.
And to get yourself out there. Yeah, both as a publisher and as an author.
Well, and I always remember that, as uncomfortable as it might be, once you do it, it's kind of like you go to the party and you actually have a good time. Like you start doing it again and you remember, oh yeah, people are all weird in their own weird ways, and I'm a person and I get to be weird too, as long as I have that permission, like that gobs of permission that I feel like Catherine is trying to ingest.
And I think too, to try it back into this this business model discussion about hybrid publishing, is if you're publishing in a more honest way, you're not caught up on advances, you're getting a better royalty rate, you're working more hands-on in partnership with your publisher across various components of the process. It's much more honest, and it's smaller scale, and you're learning how to make things work on a smaller scale. Sure. You're not so caught up in it. It's not so do or die.
Good.
And, that's about building. That's about forming new tiny micro communities. Yeah. It's a viable model on a small scale. And you're not trying to make this book discoverable all across the country. No, it might be fine to just go hang out at, church groups in homes. Yeah. And talk about this topic.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Yeah. Why is that? Yeah.
It feels feels more doable. It feels less off-putting.
Mm.
I think the term I've heard used is organic. It feels like it's growing at a normal pace.
Right.
Like maybe your audience, your reach, your understanding of the publishing process it's allowed to grow at its own pace. You don't have to push it artificially or try to game the system or do something that's like, crazy so you can sell a bunch of books. Because I'll tell you, I think the traditional model was a major reason I never felt comfortable as an acquisitions editor. It felt like you're asking the author too much. Even the ones who had published before.
Putting a lot of pressure on
you're
the
asking
author.
them now, like you gave them a lot of money and you're asking them to basically like shoulder the burden of making sure they can go out and sell sometimes upwards of 40,000 books.
Yeah.
And you're going like, who the heck do I know who could do that? And then, of course, as the acquisitions editor, I got to go find those authors who can do that.
And it had this effect of either turning the author into a megalomaniac.
Yes.
Or freaking out and never meeting their deadline to turn the book.
Freaking out and running for the hills. And you would be like, what happened to this author?
Would freak them out. Yeah.
Well, what happened is they got freaked out, man. Of course they did. They were trying to shoulder the expectations of this like huge industry, basically.
Yep.
And it's a model. That's what they're trying to shoulder ultimately. It's this model that is foisted on them through a contract. And now they have to get out there and sell it.
Very elaborate machinery you're plugging into that isn't always...
Because it's not about you anymore. It's not about your book. It's about the publisher. It's about the expectations. It's about all the people who helped you get there. And now you feel responsible for them. And you don't realize this as a young author.
Yeah. I shared... one of the things I do at Lake Drive is I'll share... for the first 12 months of a book's life with Lake Drive, you get a monthly sales report. A lot of authors, they don't get sales reports. They don't know how their book is selling.
Right.
Random House has a way it has an author portal, which is great. So that actually I think is pretty solid, but it's still just a basic number.
Right.
I will send notes, emails to authors when, hey, that thing you just did, look what happened to the sales just this week. It actually worked. And so they
can kind of track that based on what you...
They have a much stronger sense. But I shared sales of an author for a recent month, and the sales weren't that many. It wasn't a big number. And this person got back to me and said, any month that the sales are over 0 is a great month for me.
Sure.
I was like, oh, yeah. I mean,
it means people are still reading it.
That doesn't sound like a growth mindset, but man, that sounds like a healthy mindset.
Right. Well, and it encourages you to get that next book out there. I tell people, your best marketing is another book.
Yeah, that is a form of marketing. Yep.
It honestly is, because people go, oh, wow, that's a great book. I want to go see what else they have.
Yep.
And then bingo, you just made 2 sales instead.
Yep.
That, to me, is like an author needs to realize, like, this is a long-term strategy, right? You're looking for long-term sales.
And working with a outfit
first 3 months.
Like Lake Drive, we're always thinking about those kinds of things.
Right.
I have another author who had a book published by an operation that was closing down, and they were returning the rights to this author. And, this author could have kept it in publication on their own. But I said, let me come alongside you and be your advocate for that book. Let me have the rights to it. I'll give you an extremely good royalty rate. And we did, like, way better, because we didn't have to do anything except transfer the book over. There was some details and some bumps along the way, but we worked it out. We troubleshooted it. We got it done. And so now if that book sells, that book helps, we see that as an opportunity to help establish the author's platform.
That's right.
And we can be a better partner because we now have that book.
Yeah.
And we'll market both books. They can market both books. We'll benefit from it when the new book comes out. It won't be orphaned. It will be an integral part of that author's publishing journey and audience. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's very appealing to an author who has a little bit of wherewithal about the industry, and at least if they listen to this, they will know that there are alternatives out there, and there are people who care about the quality of the book, but also the quality of the model.
Yeah.
The thing that you are not seeing that's behind the scenes and has gone, that there's a lot of work that's gone into it.
Yeah. Thank you for letting me talk about the Lake Drive model. Thank you, audience, for listening.
This is really important.
If you've made it this far,
I wanted to
drop
do
me
this.
a note.
Yeah.
I got audiobooks I can give out. And I even have links to 50% off some of our books for people who sign up for our newsletter at lakedrivebooks.com.
Let's do that. Anybody who is listening and does want to explore Lake Drive, either as just a publisher of books that you enjoy, or as a writer, someone who may want to join the cadre of authors that are Lake Drive authors. Let us know, because we'd love to send you some books.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Thanks for being here, and we'll talk to you next time.